Hey guys, it's Archelon here, back for more from the First Blood Mid Lane Championship. Looking at the top 8, the first 2 matches on your screen going to be shown in this video. The left half of the bracket, Reaper vs Broken Hope up first, Wukong vs AP Yi. Broken Hope expecting Reaper to use yet another mage in this tournament, perhaps making him walk towards Yi for his champion of choice. He wasn't really confident about the matchup necessarily to start with, but AP Yi just did what he does best, took massive chunks out of Wukong's life total from a distance, forcing Wukong to play a little bit more defensively, not being that aggressive bruiser that he wanted to be. And that meditate from Master Yi just able to tank the hits from Wukong. Wukong forcing him to use Ignite on his clone under his turret, pretty much his plan at the time, and then basically told, if you want to base, you're going to have to run a little bit further away from me by Broken Hope there with his large range to do massive amounts of damage with that Alpha Strike. Anytime Wukong chased him and gave up, Broken Hope could just tap that panic button and get all that health back with one skill. Just so amazing against bruisers. Wukong flipping out with that crushing blow when Yi Alpha Striked onto him. Players tried to trade blows, but it wasn't really trading in the usual sense. Wukong using his first ultimate a little bit too early, allowing Yi to just sit there and tank it, taking a lot of damage from Wukong, probably more than he expected, but still never really in danger of dying. That second ult from Wukong used when Yi was already halfway through a meditate to try and prevent him from healing to full, but meditate's cooldown was a lot shorter, so this strategy was basically a one-off shot by Wukong, and he didn't try it again. Tried to use his clone to set up some sequence of plays on Yi all the time, but he was just constantly on the back foot, and whenever he felt pressured, felt like he had to ult, and Broken Hope could just sit there tanking it in that meditate stance with the bonus armor regenerating just stupid amounts of health, and the range of his harass was intense, just almost killing Reaper at the back of his minion line, chasing after him with his ultimate, thinking that maybe he could pick him up right there, but eventually deciding against it. And just at this stage, he had about 30 magic pen, and Wukong still didn't have any magic resist, so he was almost dealing true damage, which was just pretty insane. Wukong trying to maybe make Yi do something silly or waste some mana there, but eventually used his clone too early and had to base. Wukong finally decided to get some MR around the 20-minute mark, and again got an Ignite used under his tower, thinking that maybe with skills on cooldown he could go for a kill there, just missing with his ultimate, possibly would have sealed the deal, although Yi with that ultimate is quite fast. The two went toe to toe, and Yi almost looked like he was holding his own just with auto attacks against Wukong. After that Alpha Strike though, Wukong just went at him, managed to hammer him for reasonable amounts of damage, hit him with an Ignite that forced him to decide to run away, but Wukong had to give up that chase, and same thing just happened. Broken Hope just hits that meditate button, hits Wukong from a ridiculous distance away with Alpha Strike, forces him to run to his inner turret, gets the second turret of the game. Wukong trying to defend that inhibitor turret, but after he's used his clone, he really has no sequence of plays that he can make. Just jumped on by Broken Hope, getting that kill with an auto attack for First Blood after a 20-minute game. Second matchup of this top 8, Adencore vs Crimson King 85, Nunu vs Yorick. Just really good sustained champions for a 1v1 environment when you don't have to worry about any other team considerations or ganks from other lanes. The early game favoured Nunu just because his mana sustain was a little bit better since he got free spells and his lower costs, meaning that he could push the wave a little bit more effectively and force Yorick to base first, giving him that critical level 6 before Yorick got his, able to push the wave with his ultimate and deal a considerable amount of damage to Yorick, punishing him on his tower with snowballs. There was a lot of repetition in this game, both players just hitting each other essentially with their sustain spells, just damaging each other's mana pools more so than their health. First Yorick ult not really doing anything effective since Nunu decided wisely to disengage from that fight, and still Yorick's mana wasn't really at the point where he could contend with Nunu's ridiculous sustain, seeing as he had those free spells and his consume was slightly more effective at regenerating health than the Omen of Famine was. Second Nunu ultimate, Yorick saved himself by flashing out of, and then he went back for his ultimate as soon as he came back to lane, hitting Nunu with an Ignite, but Nunu again deciding to disengage. And again, this is where the game sort of started to take repetitive steps, with Nunu sort of chasing Yorick around, trying to get in front of him and set up ults to deal as much damage as possible and try and beat Yorick at his own game, essentially. Able to eat his ghouls and just get ridiculous amounts of health back. Yorick flashed towards Nunu's turret away from an ultimate, making Nunu flash away from Yorick when he used his ult, and the two were back to square one, which they pretty much didn't contest again until Nunu's ult came back off cooldown. Yorick this time deciding to tank it, just standing inside it with his clone, trying to deal as much damage as possible. Both players taking about the same amount of damage, but see, here we go again, exactly the same sequence of plays. Ignite Nunu, stand in Nunu's ult while ulting myself, and just try and hammer him as much as possible. Again, looking like they made pretty much an even exchange. Yorick slightly ahead just there until Nunu consumes, and then we're right back to square even. They're both at about 50% health, just over 50% mana, and it was pretty much just like this the whole game. Both players built the same as well. They both built an early chalice. Nunu got the first turret of the game. They both built an early chalice for magic resistance and mana. Yorick built Tear of the Goddess to increase his maximum mana cap, and then they both built cooldown reduction as well, with Yorick choosing Spirit Visage and Nunu going for a tome of some description. Just repeating the same sequence of plays over and over again, trying to hit each other with their ultimates essentially at the same time. But without that tower, Nunu was able to play more aggressively with a bit more capability to pull out if things went awry. Yorick didn't really have that option, so Nunu just tried to punish him whenever he moved forward, flashing out of another ultimate while ignited to stop taking tons of damage, and giving him the potential to get aggressive at Nunu considering his ult was down. Next time Yorick's ult came off cooldown, he started to beat on Nunu, and Nunu decided that it was his time to stand there and tank it while ulting, dealing some relevant damage to Yorick and forcing him to base again with a low mana pool. It's just... the video's just a sequence of Nunu ults with Yorick standing in them, tanking them, and then the two of them walking away on reasonable amounts of health. But finally it got to the point where it just didn't work out for Yorick very well anymore. Nunu able to chase him all the way back down the lane, hitting him with a max range snowball, flashing after him to hit him again. That Omen of Famine looking like it was going to save Yorick until one last auto attack under his turret scored first blood for Adencore on Nunu. And that's the end of the left half of the bracket for the top 8. Those two players will play in the semi-final. We will have Broken Hope versus Adencore in the first of the best of 3 rounds, seeing which player will make the grand final of the First Blood Mid Lane Championship. Hope you check out that video and check out part 2 of the quarterfinal. Thanks again for watching, guys, and remember, comments always make me feel better about myself, so feel free to leave me one down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.